Today I have a story to tell. It's about John and Mary, but not about the John and Mary that you know. It's the John and Mary that you do not know. The John and Mary that you refuse to see within yourself. The John and Mary that you refuse to see within our community globally. This is a very important story because it relates to our circumstances today. John and Mary are engaged in a relationship, an abusive relationship. Mary has been putting up with John's physical abuse for, let's say, 30 years. For 30 years, she has put up with his abuse. And she has fought with John, not physically, but she has fought to regain freedom, so to speak. And over time, John agreed and he said, you know what, you're right. I should not be physically abusing you. But John continued to abuse Mary, but emotionally, psychologically, financially. You see where I'm going with this? So all throughout the years, Mary continued to stay. She continued to fight. She fought for John to no longer physically abuse her. Then she fought for John to view her as equal. Once John finally, agreed, hey, I will view you as equal, but not treat you as equal, Mary thought that things were moving along until she realized that although he agreed and put it in writing that things would be equal between the two of them, that she would not really be treated equally, that he would continue to psychologically abuse her, mentally abuse her, even physically abuse her when he could get away with it. Mary continued to fight throughout these stages, fighting for no more physical abuse, no more emotional abuse, no more psychological abuse, fighting for no more mental abuse, fighting for equality as she continued to put up with John. Now Mary is in her 90s, still fighting. My question to you is, when is Mary going to realize that it is time for her to leave John and build a relationship within herself, a relationship of freedom, of independence, of equality within herself, to view herself as equal instead of, let's not say begging, instead of fighting for John to view her as equal, to view her as respectable. This is what we have been doing all throughout these stages. We have been fighting John for equality. We have been fighting John to no longer physically abuse us. Our ancestors fought, which apparently, if you actually know history, that wasn't entirely the reasons why slavery ended. There's a lot of reading that we do not do. There's a lot of history that we are not taught because this government, John, does not want his past coming back up. Although, he continues to live out his past in the future. He doesn't really want to see the truth of what his actions are causing today. Because as long as Mary continues to fight and ask him to treat her equally, to treat her respectfully, well, she's staying. So John really doesn't have to change, does he? Because she's not leaving. She's not leaving John and seeking her own independence and viewing herself as equal, seeing that she has everything within her to be everything that she can possibly be without John. She thinks she needs John's approval. She doesn't realize she can build outside of John's house. She wants to build inside of John's house. Still not realizing that it's not full freedom building inside someone else's house. You must build outside of their house and build your own house. I'm really trying to help us see because when you live a life of solitude as I have, even when you have lived a life of abuse as I have, you're able to see things through different lenses. You're able to see things through a different perspective. I'm not going to share my whole life story here. But I am going to tell you that it is because of the life that I have lived. It is because of the traveling that I have done. It is because of the willingness to even see myself, the errors in my past, be willing to say, okay, you know what? It's okay for me to give myself constructive criticism and see that the way that I was thinking was actually hindering me. A lot of us don't want to do that. We don't want to do the work and say, okay, maybe the way that I am thinking is actually hindering us, hindering my community. So going back to the John and Mary, we are the John and Mary in this story as we continue. And I know it's a prideful moment to say that we have fought for these things. We have fought for slavery to end. We have fought for Jim Crow to end. We have fought for redlining, which has not ended. Jim Crow, honestly, I mean, a lot of these things are masked and disguised and hidden from your view as being abuse, or as even being prevalent in today's society, because you don't see it, because they're good at, hey, I'm not physically abusing you, but I can psychologically abuse you. And you know what? Physical abuse is so much worse than emotional and mental abuse. So because there's no scars, no one's going to know. We have no idea how much more damaging emotional, psychological, mental abuse, what that does to the mind. Because our ancestors and even us, it lives within us, that abuse. We don't want to see this as an abusive relationship. We want to see it as we fought to stay with John. We fought for John to accept us. We fought for John to see us as human. We fought for John to love us. And we have continued to fight. If you look at the timeline, it's just a timeline of us fighting, a timeline. Fighting. Please, fighting. I'm saying I don't want us to believe that we have to stay in a relationship with John. A lot of you have personal relationships where you stay with your abuser because you need the financial support. Maybe because you don't believe that there's anything better out there for you. Because it takes a lot for us to work up that discipline within ourselves. A lot of the relationships that you may have in your life, they are triggering, they trigger abuse. But it's hard for us to be alone. It's hard for us to walk that line of being alone and doing that work of saying, you know what, I would rather honestly be alone than to continue to be in these abusive relationships. A lot of us stay in them for the comfort. A lot of us stay in them for the financial support. You have people in your life who are gaslighting you, who do not respect you, but you're staying anyway. This is what humanity has taught us. That you're staying because they may say, oh, I apologize, buy you gifts, take you out to dinner, and then the very next day it's back to the abuse, but you continue to stay. It's really hard for us, not just Black people, but humanity in general, to separate from an abusive situation, from an abusive partner. This abuse, however, has been ongoing within our community for centuries. Just because it's not on paper anymore that the abuse is allowed does not mean it's not continuing, does not mean it has not continued, does not mean that John has not figured out another way to psychologically control you. Okay, you probably heard about the 100 that's controlling us. Funny how the 100 is only keeping one group of people on the top. Okay, one group of people get to remain on the top while this one other specific group remains on the bottom of a social racial hierarchy. We have to rebuild the beating heart of humanity before we can ever expect to unite globally. But honestly, with the history, with what history has taught us, which is what this United States refuses to teach, is that we must stop being so eager to give away our forgiveness to a system who has yet to earn our forgiveness. Forgiveness must be earned, not just given away. Time and time and time again, while we blame each other, You're blaming Africa. Oh, look what those people did. Look, they partook in slavery too. So why am I I don't want anything to do with them. You don't want anything to do with them, but you want so much to do with the white European, right, who created chattel slavery. You want so much to do with them, though. It's mentally has been a lot. And when you have been mentally, psychologically, emotionally abused for centuries, your mind has been warped, and you have not yet even gone through the grieving process, the 5 stages of grief. You will never know just how deep you are in with this abusive relationship with John. I just want us to understand how important it is that we must begin to put ourselves first. And it's not a selfish thing for us to do that. It is selfish when we try to go out here and fight independently by nationality for reparations, when we all are globally suffering under the same system of racism which exists, which people in your media are going to try to tell you that it's the aliens. It is the aliens. It is the dollar. It is the gold. Okay. All that plays a part in it, yes. But we have to remember that we are the only ones who are so separated from each other. Think about China. Think about India. Think about all of these different places around the globe who have residents here in the United States. Okay. Chinese American. Okay. Hispanic American. However people would identify. If anything was to pop off in Mexico, if anything was ever to pop off in China, you better believe that all the Chinese Americans, all the Latin Americans, I'm not sure how they differ, all the Hispanics here, they will be fighting for Mexico. They will be fighting. All the Chinese Americans will be fighting for China. We are the only ones in America who would not be fighting if anything were to pop off on the continent, your continent. If anything were to pop off, we are the only group who would not be fighting for that. We have put America first because we were taught during chattel slavery to fight for your master and to fight for your master's house, while you let your own house burn down to the ground. That is an important thing that I want to help you realize. We are still in this relationship because we keep fighting on this timeline instead of believing that we have everything that we need within us to build without John.